I think millennials represent perfection.
So I think the church cares too much.
They kinda not trust Gen Z.
Would say it's not that they care too much. Yeah, that one you've pushed it a bit too much.
Did you just say that all people are almost dead?
Hi everybody, how you doing? I hope you're fantastic and thank you so much for joining us today here at MYF Mavuno Young and Fearless. We are about having candid conversations and today we're going to be talking about millennials and Gen Z. How is the church coming in together to bridge the gap between millennials and Gen Z? Stay tuned and have a good time. Be blessed. Millennials and previous generations were or are more toxic than Gen Z.
Gen Z, at least we accept when we have problems and we seek solutions, but rather the other generations think they are perfect and they don't have anything to learn or anything to change. So that makes it more toxic.
The disagreeers, kindly come forward.
I don't agree, because based on their definition of what toxic is, it's anything that goes against your feelings, your emotions, and that's not necessarily true. Because I've come across Gen Zs who say, oh, if your boss tells you no, your parents tell you no, it's toxic. No, it's discipline.
So from my point of agreeing, it's not that it's based on my feelings, but rather that when there's an error or when I have done something wrong, Gen Zs they might, okay, that's a lie, but some of them are at a position where they will accept help. They'd even go for therapy if they know that they have some baggage. But the older generation are like, no, just drink water and you're okay. So they don't accept that they have baggage or they don't accept that they are wrong, and that's toxic for me.
Don't you think that maybe we don't take everything too seriously, because life happens sometimes. So you guys take everything way too seriously. So you assume that normal life hardship is toxic, yet it's just life happening and you have to deal with it.
Yeah, but we do take it to heart, but you'd rather deal with something than shelve it at the back as it not being too serious and it projecting to other people.
Okay, for me what I feel is the problem with Gen Zs, what they usually say about people being toxic is they can't handle the truth. When you tell them the truth, you are more of toxic. When you tell them like, oh, I don't like your glasses. When you tell them like that, they say, oh, you're too toxic. And then they're in the era of cancel culture. You tell them something they don't like, they cancel you. Like, you did this, cancel you. You're too toxic. Like, they can't handle the truth, basically. Anything that is not their way they consider you toxic. Or in other essence, they'll say, if you are a friend and you tell them the truth, they'll say you're a fake friend just because you are honest with them. So I just think they can't handle the truth, basically. That's all it is.
We are on the same page. I do agree on that.
You can be on the same page, but different books.
Huh? Same page, same books then.
No, same page, different books.
Because
that's the thing. It can happen.
Okay, so with that definition of toxic, I agree that yes, when Gen Zs are told something, we might be more prone to cancel you first. But when you take the other definition of toxic, being that you do not handle the problems you have, or you think that you don't have any problem, yet everyone, every day we actually go through stuff.
Okay. What is toxic?
Toxic to me is when you have baggage, let me call it that. Let's say you have problems, and rather than dealing with it, you project it to other people because you don't want to accept that you have problems. That's where I am at. So I'm not arguing that there's a lot of cancel culture and that people do not want to be corrected, but I'm also telling you guys, let's see this other page of being toxic where the older generations, they don't think they have problems. They think they are very okay.
On one hand, yes, I agree that Gen Z are more toxic in a way than the older generation. But that's because the older generation went through life without having to care or feel anything in particular. You know, they just went through life and life hit them and they're like, it's life, let's go. But you know, when a Gen Z gets hit by life, they're like, hey, everything has to stop, you know, but the world can stop for one person because they're going through it. Yeah. So on my side, I think that the older generation they were not correct for hiding their true feelings and emotions, but they were not wrong for taking it on the chin and continuing with life, you know, because they've succeeded in a way because of that. And our generation have become more connected to our feelings, but then it's made us more feeling.
Weak.
Yeah, thank you. I will say it, yeah? Those are the guys, not me. I'm part of them, but I'm not of them, yeah? But yes, they're soft, they're weak. They become very emotionally driven. Like they wake up and they're just like, today I'm feeling like I don't want to do this, yeah? An example I have is I never went to boarding school, yeah? And I thank God for it, yeah? But that just means I never had the discipline of waking up before the sun woke up, yeah? So whenever I hear my father wake up and tell me, let's go plant a tree or do something before the sun wakes up, I'm like, there is no way I'm going to wake up to do this and the sun has not woken up yet, you get? And it's such a small thing when you look at it, but then that small discipline of like waking up an hour early or doing this differently is what got them to the mentality of having hard work and everything. But I'm not saying it's right for them to like hide their emotions and think they're perfect, because on that hand they really have they have more problems than us, but I wouldn't say they deal with it better, they just don't deal with it, but we deal with it too much.
When you look at millennials and Gen Z, we are sort of like, when it comes to being in tune with our feelings, with our emotions, we are very progressive in that aspect, and I appreciate that with the two generations. But I also feel like with current culture, especially social media culture, toxic has been used in the sense of face value. It's a word that has been used so much, it loses the true essence of what it means, in the sense that when something is toxic, it is corrosive or has the potential to corrode. So every generation, I trust, has areas they need to work on. And I just feel like when you say they're toxic, you're just lumping the whole group with one definition of one act. You're just toxic, removing all the other beautiful and positive things about a generation and the changes that they're making and the progress and the things that, because with every generation, even with the boomers, in a way that we're seeing them because we are the young ones, we are the hip ones, there are those things that they're very good at, and they sort of like, there are things that you admire them for, you learn from them, but if we say they're toxic, or, oh, it feels like a competition of trying to prove who is better than who, when really there's nobody who is better than anyone. We're just trying to make ourselves and the world we are living in better for everyone and the next generation, because alphas will be the new hip young, and they'll be like, oh, millennials and Gen Z, we're like this, but you know, it's life again.
I think millennials represent perfection. No, like, think about it. Millennials are kind of in the middle. Like, we took some of the good from this side and we took some of the positive from this side. So the only issue is that being in the middle is hard because you have to keep, it's like you're the bridge, you have to keep explaining things to the other generation. So we are stuck with the burden of teaching Gen Zs things like work ethic and discipline and things like that. And then we're stuck with trying to explain to our parents that this is a different generation. We don't bury our feelings. We speak about them and we deal with them.
The church doesn't care about Gen Z. The church doesn't care about Gen Z.
They kind of not trust Gen Z. Like, we are the next generation, but some activities that Gen Z or some ideas that we bring up, they still fully don't trust us to do those things. And there's that backhand of, you know, these guys are lazy, you know, they're dumb, they don't know life yet, they're know-it-alls. We can't trust these guys.
I wouldn't say doesn't care. I would say church doesn't prioritize Gen Z. And there are a few exceptions to it. There are some churches that put in the effort, but most of the time it's just they just put us into a space and say, you guys are in control of that space. We don't want your stories. We don't want, just you be there. You get, there's no what the word would be.
Involvement.
There's no involvement, but there's also no plan. There's no action plan for Gen Z, because for them it's like the way we approach things, it's a very old style for most of the churches. It's, they look at it, they're like, this is how we grew up in our youth and this is how we want them to grow up, but it's different generations. And so for them it's like, if they don't do it this way and they want to do it their own way, then they can do it their own way but don't involve us, or they can go outside and build their own church. That's the kind of vibe they give off.
What you just said right there, I feel like it answers the statement. If you don't do it our way, go try it somewhere else, not our space.
I disagree, because I don't think it's that the church does not care about Gen Zs. It's because they don't know what to do with them. And this is because the church has still not figured out what to do with millennials. I think for me, that's the interesting space I find myself in, because I identify myself as a millennial pastor. I get where the previous generation is coming from. I get the struggles of my generation. And so I have made the effort to bridge the gap. So I'm like, if they still haven't figured out what to do with us, they definitely have no clue what to do with you. But I feel like it's become more open, because now they've realized, okay, if we're going to have congregants tomorrow, we kind of need to invest in the next generation. But I don't think there's been other generations that have been as hard to figure out as millennials and Gen Zs. Because before, you'd come into a church space and you comply. But millennials came in and they're like, why do I have to dress like this? What does my hair color have to do with spirituality? How does my piercings affect my ability to hear God? And the church was not ready to answer such questions. So they kind of backed away, because they're like, wow, okay, we had not thought through that, because they just passed what they were given. And it's even worse for you guys, because you guys now question everything. We question the systems. You are like, do we even need a system?
If you actually see how churches do their even sermon and readings and everything, it has been well curated for the young people. Like, they actually do YouTube versions. They actually post sermons on social media. Like, they're bringing church closer to them, meaning they care about them. Because for us, the only way we will actually go to church is you have to be woken up and go to church with your mother and so on. But for them, at the comfort of your bed, you're able to like be in a church basically with your pajamas and however you sleep. You're able to be in a church basically. So I don't think they just don't care. I think it's them now. The word has been taken to them. So it's for them now to take the initiative. Like someone's social media, someone's YouTube. Even in WhatsApp groups, basically. Like, there are actually WhatsApp groups where people share sermon and share the word, basically. So I think it's they actually care. And then even if you look even at the songs that are being played in churches, they are not those of us we used to clap and everything. They're not hymns anymore. They're actually songs you can actually dance to, meaning things are being done to your level, basically. Like, it has been brought down to your level. Like, for us, we used to sing hymns with our fathers and mothers, with books and everything. These days, you don't need even a book. Come as you are. Lyrics will be posted on the screens. You sing as you are. You can stand, you can clap, but at the end of the day, it's something that has been broken down to you. Then again, as Gemma said, with the clothing, for us, there's a way you will actually have to go. Shoes, no sport shoes. We used to go like you will think you are going for a wedding, basically. But for you guys, you do shorts. Even me, like, you can do with shorts. Your hair, you can come with your hair how you want. Like, basically, it has been put in a way, like, we no longer care of your physical aspect of it, but we are more about this chasing the soul. We are about now fetching the heart, basically, first of all. So I think the church cares too much. That's why all these things are being done to you, like in terms of even like the spaces. Like for us, when you're growing up, service were just Sunday school and main church. For now, the youth, you'll find there's small kids, now there's Sunday school, and then there's youth ministry, and then there's another middle background, and then there's a main church. Because now they're trying to find a space where you can actually belong, which is actually easy.
I would say that it's not that they don't care, but I would say it's not that they care too much. Yeah, that one you've pushed it a bit too much. My perspective would be like James, where they don't know how to handle the Gen Z, because they're still learning how to handle the millennials. And that for some churches, I can say for sure, there's some churches that are working toward building a better relationship with the new generation, but some others are very, the best way to put it is stubborn, and Gen Zs, I think we're renowned for our stubbornness. There's one thing I know, there's no other generation that is stubborn like us. Yeah, like if we say we're not feeling like doing this thing, there's nothing on this planet you can do to change our mind. So I feel like in terms of, the word would be not compromise, but in terms of compromise in a way, the church have tried in terms of the outfits and everything, like it's after the soul and not the outer look. In terms of that, they've compromised, yes, but I feel like they shouldn't compromise too much, yes, but they should put themselves in a place where they listen to some of the suggestions, or at least acknowledge that suggestions have been made.
I agree that they are trying, but we also have to meet them halfway. I don't think our generation is putting in any effort whatsoever to meet them halfway, or even just to, at least meet them halfway, have a talk, and then let's do something progressive. Other than what else do we want? They've tried.
Soon we'll have the opposite problem, that all people who know what to do with church, because they're not speaking to us. We can't relate because we've gone out of our way to accommodate. So I think I agree with Yvonne that we need to meet each other halfway. Did you just say that all people are almost dead?
Let me just repeat that slightly. So what I'm saying is that, so we have a space, they've given us a space where we can do what we want to do in that space. They're providing different mediums of how messages are shared. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, when I say don't care, one area I want to look at is, we have ideas that we want to try, good ideas, but we have to look to the main church in a way like permission, in a sense. And so it feels like a child-parent dynamic where I want candy, then I go, not candy, I want this, then I go to my parent, and parents like, no, you can't have this, right? Or let me use a mature idea. The child wants to have money to start a lemonade stand, to make money. So he comes to the father, be like, can I have $50 to make a stand outside to be selling juice, to make money? What the parent says is no. He doesn't listen to the idea. He doesn't compromise on the idea. It's just a hard no. Like, he doesn't know why. So basically, we have our space, but when we have ideas that we want to try out or bring out, the main church, they still have a sense of control over us in the decision making. Like, we have good ideas, but when we bring them, it's a no, and there's no compromise. It's just just no. Or if we're doing this, we're doing it our way.
Let's assume you want to let's say you want money from your parent. The easiest way to do it is to show that you can actually earn that money. There's no way you've never even washed the dishes, done anything. Your work is wake up, video games, sleep, eat, everything. And then you come, hey, Dad, I need like 5,000, I need to buy headphones. Like, for them, they want to give you because you've actually not shown you've earned that money. To bring it back home, the same way things, at the end of the day, whatever things that happen, because if you are to do something and it goes haywire, it won't say MYF youth or something, or it won't say the youth church, it will go like the main church. Basically, it will be the whole umbrella. So at the end of the day, that's why they have to watch over. And to bring that sense, let's say you have ideas. You can just write the proposal well, show how you can actually utilize it and propose it. And always be ready to open an open mind. Like, if they refuse, there's other avenues you can do. Maybe did they refuse because of there was no available funds, or did they refuse because of this? If it's no funds, come up with ways of raising those funds. Because at the end of the day, let's say you want to do a concert. Okay, what's your aim for this concert? Is it for outreach? Is it for just for fun? Is it for what? And then what is the main goal for it? If you actually come up with a concrete reason and then present it, and then maybe say, we even don't need your funds. We have ways of finding our funds. We just need you to provide the venues and everything. All the others will sort it out. You've actually done that mile. You've actually walked that mile, so I'm able to meet you halfway. You do your part, I do my part, then we work together. But if everything I'm going to do, there's no way I'm going actually to do anything.
It's based on, we want freedom without responsibility. That if anything was to go wrong, they're responsible for us. But when you're pushing for freedom, it's like, yeah, you stay out of it. But if something goes wrong, we're going to run back to them because they are still the adults. They're still the ones with wisdom and more experience on things. So I feel like there's a space for, yes, you have ideas and they need to be more open to hearing your ideas. But at the end of it, there's a level of wisdom and experience they have that we don't have. I think back to some of the decisions I made as a teenager and I'm like, I appreciate my parents more because that time it made sense. Now I'm like, that was just stupid. So there's that element of the parent-child, like they see things that we don't see. But I do agree 100% that they need to be more open to listening because there are things that we know now in our different generations that they didn't know when they were our age. So there's still room for compromise and conversation there.
Okay, I agree with what you said. But we're not dumb, right? We're above 18. We're not all stupid. Some of us are responsible. But you're not giving us advice on how we could make this in a way where it's acceptable. What they're doing is they want to get control in there and change the script. Lines, remove this, remove that, remove this, remove that. And then the idea just changes completely.
I wouldn't say that that way of approaching it is a wrong way per se, because at the end of the day, it's the same thing Pastor Jem was saying about freedom without responsibility. When you, as an 18 or below year old, do something and you're caught by the cops or something, before under 18, yeah, obviously, your parents are the ones who will be called, yeah? Over 18, you will go to jail, but that's not the point. The point is just there's someone responsible for you at that moment, yeah? And so even when you do something like, say, I want to go to this university, I want to study this, I want to do this, then your parent says, go do farming. Yeah, you'll be like, there's no way I do IT and then I'm told to go do farming. But it's like your parents didn't wake up and say, I feel like you're going to do, you're born for farming. You get, like, the decision, they may not tell you this is what I've been thinking for the last 10 years of your life. They'll just tell you you should try, dig a hole and plant a tree, that kind of thing. For you, you'll be like, I don't want to dig a hole and plant a tree. But at the end of the day, they've not thoughtlessly, they've not said, I want to make this person feel like garbage so that they know that I'm above them. Yeah. I don't want to take full control as a church so that they feel like they have nothing. You get them, you coming to them with an idea and showing them that you want this, and then putting a bit of control. That it shouldn't change the bigger picture of it, because at the end of the day, you have a goal that is, let's say, to win more souls in the concert. If the concert still happens, even though there were regulations about timing and everything, the concert still happened. You get, it might have been bad, and then if they see the concert going on nicely and they're like, yeah, these guys did a good job, let's take one step away and see if they'll do the same kind of job. So for them, it's more of, we'll give you that freedom that you're asking for, but we'll be there with 2 feet, and then if you do well, we'll move 1 foot. If you do well, we'll remove another foot, and then we'll give you the freedom you want, because you've proven to us that you have the freedom, that you deserve the freedom.
So we have to prove ourselves.
Basically.
Because we're young.
Gen Zs are privileged.
First, there's a lot more access to resources. I feel like they're also privileged in the sense that there is more wealth for them. They've grown up in the digital age. In the space where, if you look at now Gen X, who are a lot of the parents for Gen Z, they have more wealth. So they've grown in that privilege of wealth and access to a lot more. There's not, as we grew up with stories of, oh, we walked 3 kilometers without shoes. You tell a Gen Z that story, they'll be like, was it my issue?
Like, was it a spiritual journey you were on?
Yeah, they don't comprehend. They didn't have all of those because the parents have really strived to remove those hardships for their lives to make their lives a bit more better, and therefore there's definitely more privilege for them.
Every generation has put in work so that your lives could be easier. There are fights that we had with our parents, and they're like, what is wrong with these children? Now you can go and tell your parent, yeah, I'm going to be a DJ. And they're like, okay, your older brother became a DJ, and I guess it turned out fine. So you don't understand some of the fights we had to fight because we're the first generation to start opening up about things, to question systems, to ask the questions that nobody else was going to ask. So you guys just came and you're just like, yeah, I have a voice and I'm going to use it. But for us, we had to fight for the voice. So we're like, there are things you cannot say. Like, at least they've given us this much. So let's not push it too much. You guys are just like, no, this is what I want, and you will do all of it. So y'all are like really, really privileged. And instead of understanding and appreciating it, you've become entitled.
So for me, I'll add the word very privileged on that statement. Like they're privileged to question things. For us, we do only question whatever has been said, that's it. Like for you, your father will tell you, this is what you're doing, that's what we'll do. For them, you'll be like, hey, because there's someone you will actually question your father. I didn't ask you to bring me to this earth. You brought me, so yes. So such a thing. You see? So that's
you're
very
alive
privileged,
to say this
basically.
statement?
Yeah. For us, we usually even do things, such things. For them, they'll be like, hey, please, I didn't come here to suffer. Like, you're the one who chose to bring me to this life. So basically,
you're responsible.
Yeah, so you're responsible for me. Anything I want, anything I get. So basically it's that. So they tend to become that privileged and so entitled about everything. That being privileged has made them to be a bit soft. In terms of, they don't have that level of grit. In terms of, like, because let's assume, for example, you'll find someone who's not even 15 already making millions without even leaving their house.
Without leaving their bedroom.
Like even the bedroom, basically. Like you wake up, social media, or maybe gaming for 1 hour, 1 million shillings. For you, you had to even to work for that 30 shillings. And that's why for them, they'll go to work and quit within the first day.
My
like
boss
they'll be
is
like,
toxic.
The mood of
What
this
do you mean
place,
I
I
need
ain't
to be
feeling
here at
it.
8?
Or
That's
it's
so early.
8. I work from 10 to 2. They want shifts, basically. And those shifts, like, you want to work in shifts, yet it's your first job.
Pay me my worth.
Yes.
I know
like, pay
my
me,
worth.
I know my worth. You're worth what? You don't even have anything on your CV yet to know your worth. You're not even from high school yet. So
Our
for
worth
me,
is
I
in
think that's one
Jesus.
thing for, like, they're so entitled.
Social media wasn't created by us. It was created by you guys. And it has good things, it has bad things, but it has changed our social lives and everything. I remember a time when I used to hang out with a friend, but we just talk outside, very young. Now it's texting, you have dating apps like Tinder and all this. You can sell your nudes and sex and make millions out of it. You can
You didn't have to work hard.
You didn't have to
That's
work hard.
privilege.
You can date whoever you want. You get that. But we didn't create that, and those things are creating huge consequences for our generation. The things that you guys have created, we enjoy Instagram, we enjoy a little bit of here and there, but it's changed everything socially that it feels like it's a different world now. Yeah, we're young, but I can make money being naked. That's a thing now. But then what are the repercussions? Like, what if my daughter wants to be part of that? Like, it changes. I feel like these changes, we're going to have to deal with them. They're going to be painful, and they're going to affect us the most. So, yes, the landscape, we are a little bit privileged, food, water, roof over your head, money, and all that. But the things that are being created by millennials, the laws that are being passed by the Gen Xers, they're going to have huge consequences in the future. And that's going to affect us the most.
There's a price to privilege.
Price to privilege.
Yeah. Like, for real. I'm
Priced.
like, yeah, for real. Like, there's a level of privilege you have. So for example, we're talking about how our parents told us all these stories of how they struggle to get to school and stuff. My mom can deal with more stuff than I can. So the price I pay for privilege is I don't have as much discipline or as much work ethic as she does.
Right.
And so for you guys, the amount of privilege you get is that, yes, it comes with entitlement, but the disadvantage is that you have access to so much information and you don't have filters to sieve this information. So every positive thing has a negative thing to it. It's like if you own a car, fuel prices are ridiculous. But if you can walk, just drink water. Like there's a price that comes with privilege. So I think every generation has had their life get easier, but there's been consequences to that getting easier. So I can't say that now we ignore the privilege that you guys have because of the disadvantages that come with it. Because the question was, do we feel like you're the most privileged? Yes, you are. I'm not seeing any one of you signing up to go and fight in the army because you have to. You don't have to walk barefoot to school. You can do the things that Felix is saying from the comfort of your home. You've never had to dig a hole in your life. Like there are struggles where I'm just like, yeah, you didn't have to. You have options.
I disagree.
You have-
Few of us.
The thing is, you have options. Like for our parents, it's you're a teacher, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor. Maybe if you're privileged, you're a pilot. Like there was defined things. Now I can just take videos from my, I don't know, from I can take selfies from the bathroom and make money from that. Like,
Do you feel like your parents, economically, life was easy for them? They could buy a house, higher wages, all those social economic benefits that they had. Like right now, there's a recession for us is about to happen, and most of our young guys are like, inflation, gas. We're heading into the workforce, but we're also going through a recession and possibly economic turnout.
Yeah,
Or
definitely.
a war or something like that. But do you feel like, because the question was, are we the most entitled generation? So do you feel like your parents had it easier buying a house, higher wages?
I wouldn't say it was easier. It was more probable. Like chances of them buying a house then or getting those things then, or the chances was higher compared to us guys. But then you see, we're also the guys who maybe buying a shamba is not a priority. I'm happy living in like we're creating we are creating solutions to our reasoning is in the sense that maybe I cannot buy a car, but we are the same people who at 40 I'm not really faced having roommates or cohabiting with roomies, and we are creating solutions for this problem. So fine, fuel is going, it will pick up when it will be like, I'll buy a bike and I'm happy with the bike, and even if I have like $1 million in the bank, a car is not a measure of my
so I'm helping
wealth.
solve
we
the
have
carbon
that
footprint in the world. So.
exactly. So whatever problems are there, we have the solutions, and we are not so limited by them. We're just innovative and creative enough to come up with solutions to tackle the same problems that they do feel daunting, because you're like, wow, where are we headed? Unga is at 200 bob. You're like, but then you'll be like, why don't we're having gluten-free, or now we are having sorghum. Like there's always innovation. And the good thing is, with that privilege, there's space for innovation. We're not existing in a space where it's very black and white.
There are struggles. They are very real struggles. But I think the work that we put in is so much less than what they had to put in to get what they got.
But was it easy? Was it easier though? Because they got a house in more affordable, getting a house in their 20s. Because I don't see
who got a house in their
20s and 30s.
No, you can get a house. They were
earning like 2,000 in their 20s. So I'm like, I don't think so. Yeah, you guys can play video games for a year and buy your parents a mansion. Like, I don't think it was easier. I think they put in more work for the things that they had to get. We don't have to put in as much work. I think we are smarter in a way, or we figured out how to get income from the most ridiculous thing. But for them, everything had to be hard work. So your parents had to retire at 55. Now people can retire at 35 or 30, because they're just like, I just did a few good investments. I had a successful YouTube channel, and I can quit at 30 and just, chill and travel the world. Your parents would have to work until they're 60 for them to afford to take a holiday or something like that. So I don't think it's easy. I think we have it easier than they do.
I feel like also, it's so true. I think sometimes we are so wrapped up in ourselves, we don't get to see from their point of view. So also us, if we are more open to listen to them, to also see things from their point of view, then we might also borrow some of the things they learned, and we can even use it to solve the problems that we have.